This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. It was Alan Holdsworth who once said, "You can't teach anything worth learning." And it's an interesting point of view, I think. I was watching, as part of my TrueFire partnership, I get access to all of the material, and I was watching Tim Lurch, who I've seen on YouTube for many years, especially when I was first trying to get the hang of trying to put together chord melody and jazz and stuff. I think he's a great resource, great player, and he's got some courses on TrueFire. And there was this kind of boot camp thing, and in this he was talking about some stuff in a really interesting way. You know, like, people talking about guitar interests me, and he was saying we are all self-taught, and I thought that was a really interesting point of view as well. So what I took this to mean was, you know, as people can have guitar teachers, I didn't, but I had a piano teacher. But these things, basically, there's no substitute for actual hours spent trying to kind of create your own epiphanies. And as much as someone can show you something, it's up to you. Like, this is the way for me that piano lessons work. Like, they'll show you a thing, and then you've got to explore that concept yourself until it becomes something that you can kind of internalize, and it becomes your own information. And I thought that kind of applies to everything. So as I say, I didn't have guitar lessons growing up. I had piano lessons from about the age of 5 till about 14, which would have been hugely beneficial for all of the theory stuff and all that side of things. But in terms of technique on guitar and figuring out how to play scales and all that sort of stuff, I taught myself and took myself through a grade 8 exam, which I took at age 16. Now, if I had had lessons, I don't know if I'd be a different guitarist today, but here's the kind of point, that each of us have to find the things that inspire us enough that we want to take that thing into our own kind of practice session and internalize it. So I get people asking me on the channel about various things, like how do you do ear training, or how do you work out chords by ear, or how do you work out the chord progressions to songs. So what I would encourage people to do on this, so if you have like a general topic, there's never been as much information online for free as there is now. So what I would try to do, and what Tim Lurch talked about, was the same sort of approach. Like, find something that gets you kind of your foot in the door. So, you know, whether it's there are loads of great channels on YouTube, like Bob Reynolds, sax player, Chad LB, sax player, of course Jens Larson. There's loads of great stuff. So what you want to do, I think, and this would be how I would approach things if I was self-teaching, well, I guess I still am today, is you give yourself like a broader topic maybe, and you try and keep like a note of what that might be. So I had like a whiteboard that I would keep, and it would have like a concept for the week, and you would kind of research that topic for a while. So I guess for me, for a long time, it was timing. or jazz tunes. So if you've got this kind of overarching goal of working on timing, you look up from like drummers, like how do they work on their time feel, how do they build up their inner metronome, and then you take that and you try to maybe watch some of these videos a few times, and then you try and incorporate that into your lifestyle somehow, so that it becomes an epiphany that you can have for yourself. So, you know, like for instance, how do you make it so that you can change where the metronome falls? So in my internal clock, you know, I might be able to make it so the metronome sounds like it's hitting on 2 or hitting on 4. I can't actually show you how to do that properly. It's something that you have to learn to do for yourself by watching someone presumably do it. Case in point, I can show you now how I would do it. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you see what I'm doing to shift where that metronome falls in my head is, or well, not even in my head, it's just counting one of the numbers twice, so that effectively that if I'm still counting in time, that metronome will then be shifted a beat. So that was one lesson that I got from someone on YouTube, just explaining how they do this sort of thing, you know. So if you're like looking for timing exercises that you can do with a metronome, keep that in mind as like your general thing to practice. Equally, in the jazz world, you know, it's important to learn the material and jazz tunes. And so what I would do is I'd have a jazz song a week that I would make sure was like a cornerstone of my practice. For instance, last week I tried to play Emily quite a lot. This week I don't have a tune that I've been doing that with. I should probably fix that. But it's these things that help to keep the main thing, if that makes sense. Because what I hear so much from so many players, whether it's Robin Ford, Tom Quayle, Tim Lurch, all of these people say that essentially what has happened over the years is that their practice takes them down different avenues and different flights of fancy, different things that really interest you, and you're following the things that create enough of a spark that keep you interested. And there isn't actually a curriculum for this stuff. There isn't actually a manual for how to get from A to B with the guitar, as much as there are courses and stuff out there that will try to sell you that idea. The thing that I like about some of the TrueFire stuff is that these people still talk as if they're students of the instrument, whether it's Martin Taylor, Andy Timmons, all of these people, they're still practicing, they're still doing the things that all of us have to do. So the question, do you need a guitar teacher? What I think the role of a guitar teacher can be is to point out things that are going well and point out things that are going wrong, and also try to create inspiration and try and guide you down these paths. Now, ultimately, they can't make you sit down and practice, and sitting down and practice is actually the thing that makes you better at guitar. You can't learn, you know, brutal kind of technique stuff in a lesson. It takes time to actually sit down yourself, and as I say, and as Tim Lurch says, you have to kind of, everyone is self-taught then at that point. You know, the hours that you need to get better at guitar, they all come from you outside of a lesson mostly. The other thing about keeping the main thing, I actually grew up playing in church a long time as well. And this I didn't see as practice at the time, but now I kind of understand that what this kind of did was keep in focus that at some stage, a lot of this music stuff is about being able to play it. So, you know, you don't necessarily have to have your head in a book the whole time, but, you know, get out and try and meet people that are also interested in making music, and try and develop that side of things, because I think there is also a tendency to just stay super focused on, right, well, this is what I'm learning this week. But actually learning tunes and stuff will enable you to go out and, you know, maybe you join a band, maybe you write your own music, maybe you're in a cover band, whatever it might be. I think those things can really help to again refocus, like, what are the things that matter? Is it sweep picking at 160 BPM, or is there like a load of fun to be had playing Son of a Preacher Man to 6 people on a Tuesday night in a pub in Woking? I don't know. So yeah, that was the interesting thought for me that came from that kind of video, like self-teaching, self-taught, all of these things. What it really is about is finding a topic that is interesting enough for you that it is a thing that you do a lot, and keeping a note of what that is and having it somewhere in place in your studio or practice room or whatever can be a really good thing, to help keep some part of your practice session focused on whatever that thing is. I think give that a try, maybe. So for me, that has been like timing. For me, that has been a jazz standard a week. So those would be like two overarching topics that would dictate what I would practice for the week. And then I might have like smaller concepts that I practice, and you know, like those Guthrie Govan licks that I've been going through, those might have been like key things that I practiced throughout the week as well. So give yourself these little things that enable you to get like a little bit obsessed with them. So whether it's that Guthrie lick from Waves and you think, right, what can I do with this? Instead of learning 50 licks, I think it's really useful stuff to kind of really focus a lot of attention on one kind of thing and really get that thing under your fingers and move it around into different keys. Learn to apply it in your own improvisation, and you do that by kind of playing with other pieces of music that are not Guthrie Govan and trying to get that lick to fit there. All these things I think can help make you a better guitarist, and also help to keep you on this interesting path where actually picking up guitar every day can be a fun thing and not necessarily this thing, I need to practice whatever today. It's like a thing where I really am interested in playing this thing today. And for me, again, the thing that really keeps my interest is improvisation. And so you say, right, I'm going to dedicate a certain part of this, like even if I'm not practicing anything super consciously, that if I spend an amount of time every day trying to improvise music, be spontaneous on a guitar, then at least that will be enjoyable, and at least I'm going to be getting better at that. And that was what the video, you know, 7 years of progress was about, where that has been a really big focus for kind of 7 years, like actually just being able to play the guitar and enjoy it. And I feel like I'm better at playing the guitar and enjoying it these days because that was a focus. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. There is a discount code for TrueFire if you want, but I'm finding there is loads of interesting topics on there from people that are much better guitarists than me, and I find it interesting to hear what they say about how they think about this stuff. I don't know if you do too. That was me. Cheers.